Hello, my name is Christopher Ruspe. I'm a certified financial planner and chartered market technician. And what that really means is that I work with people to help them achieve their financial plans. And today's message and video is going to be dedicated to people who are 16 to 25 years old and trying to make some decisions about their education. I'm dedicating this video to you because you guys are going to end up being the people who vote. You're going to end up being the people who inherit all the wealth. You're going to end up being the people who run all the businesses. And eventually, like they say in the cliche, you're going to be the ones that inherit the world. There's just so much that I want to share to you, both as a 32-year practitioner of comprehensive financial planning, as well as a father, that sometimes it's a little overwhelming and I don't even know where to start. But in no particular order, number one, I want to really encourage you not to pin your hopes on athletics to get your scholarship and pay for your education. The reason for this is that for every one of you who is an exceptional athlete in Little League, there's only about 10 out of 100 that will still be very good or good at a high school level. And there may only be 1 out of 100 of you in the Little League area that ends up being exceptional at a high school level. And if you do end up being very good in high school, only about 1 out of 100 will actually make the transition to being good or very good, like a starter, in college. And so the odds, it's just a very risky proposition. And that's not to say that if you aren't that 1 out of 10,000, you shouldn't pursue your dreams. I do believe in dreams, but you should have a backup plan in case you blow out a knee or you tear a rotator cuff or something like that. You really can't rely on athletics to pay for college. Number two, I have a lot of clients whose kids have gone to school for free on academic scholarships. Academic scholarships really do exist. There's really 2 types of scholarships, right? There's need-based, which means that the government thinks you can't quite pay for yourselves through your parents' income usually to go through college. So that's called need-based. And then there's academic scholarships, and those are merit-based. Now, need-based, the problem with need-based is if you make any money at all, the government doesn't think you deserve any and that you should have saved it in advance before getting there. So it's really difficult to qualify for need-based aid. As far as merit-based, there are scholarships out there. You can today pay for yourself to go to college for free, but here's the catch. Just a straight 4.0 average is not going to cut it. In order to really distinguish yourself, you're probably going to have to be up or around a 4.5 weighted GPA. That means you're getting A's in AP classes, you're getting A's in honors classes, and you're really not getting any B's. But there is money out there for exceptional students, and from what I've seen in my own personal life, working with my clients, if you're really that academically oriented, that is a pretty good way to go about controlling the cost of college. The other thing I want to encourage you to do is to leverage your school career counselor. This is usually the person who is responsible for helping you fill out college admissions tests, take PSATs and SATs and ACTs, and select colleges. We found that our school counselor who specialized in that was a really, really big help, because even if your parents have a financial planner like me, typically we don't specialize in college enrollment related questions. The other thing you can do is you can rely on, if there's a local community college, usually their counseling department is pretty helpful to the local high schools. The other thing that a lot of people aren't aware of is that there's an academic common market that is out there for most areas of the United States, where you can go to any participating college in your region, and if you take a major that isn't offered in your particular state, you can get in-state tuition. That's called the Academic Common Market. And it's even more generous today because now you have all these online schools that are participating and offering really reduced cost for you to get a four-year degree. So seriously consider, if you feel like you have to get away from home, which I certainly understand. I felt that way myself. Certainly consider the Academic Common Market. Each area of the United States has one. California is off by itself in their own Academic Common Market. And then, for instance, in Maryland, where I live, it's everywhere from Maryland to Florida to Alabama. So there's just a lot of selection. The next bullet point I want to kind of preach to you here is, when you select a major, you want to look for two things. You want to look for a major that you genuinely enjoy, and you want to look for a major that actually leads to a job. So if you get a degree in something, you want to know that the day you walk out of that college, you can get a degree, you can get a job rather, using that degree. If it's like criminal justice, okay, for instance, what are you going to do with a criminal justice degree at 21 years old? You may end up being a waiter for 4 or 5 more years while you're getting a master's degree. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you're going to be a waiter, you don't need to waste a couple $100,000 on college. So make sure that the major that you select, when you go to Indeed or you go to other job sites, make sure that you can find jobs that are listed where it says, you know, bachelor's degree in criminal justice required for you to start this job. Then you know you've got a major that's actually going to pay for itself. A lot of students end up getting degrees in things that they're interested in that don't lead to jobs, and then that's a double whammy because they have all of the debt of having gone through college, but they don't have the benefit of the higher paying job. The next bullet point's one that you're probably not going to want to hear, but I always encourage students: work, don't borrow. If you have to borrow money to go to college, do not do it. It's such a huge, huge, disastrous choice to borrow money to go to college that I really believe it should be illegal because you have to understand, as a young person, probably the biggest decision you've ever had to make is maybe whether or not to have a credit card that has a $500 balance. Maybe some of you have had to work hard to buy your first car, but your perspective on making $100,000 and $200,000 financial decisions is really, really limited by your age. So it really should be something where you can pay for college by working through it if your family hasn't been able to save. There's so many good employers. Amazon pays for you to get a degree, Starbucks, Walmart, UPS, the overnight company, McDonald's, the military. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm not going to quote any articles that are on the internet today, but if you go in and you do a Google search, you'll find hundreds of employers that will pay for you to get a degree. They'll pay you while you're working in the job. And then guess what? When you graduate, you're already going to have a job. And if there's a recession, then you'll already have a job. Whereas your other students that are in your class, when they graduate, they may be working in a high school type job because they didn't already have a job. So working your way through college has a lot of benefits. Number one, you won't be broke all the time. Number two, you'll get job training. Number three, you'll get your education paid for. Number four, you'll have a job when you get out. And sometimes a lot of these employers, they do a really nice job of promoting from within. On the subject of borrowing money, I made a big statement, which I don't usually do as a financial planner, saying that it's so toxic to your future that it probably should be illegal to not let kids borrow hundreds or $200,000 worth of money. Let me put it to you like this. If you ever want to own a home, if you ever want to have kids, if you ever want to travel, if you ever want to get married, if you ever want to own your own business, if you ever want to live your own dreams, borrowing to go to college is going to be a substantial barrier until you're probably 35 or 40 years old. Every single week, I talk to 15 or 20 young people who are typically between the ages of 25 and 35. and frequently they have $75,000 to $200,000 worth of college debt. They're making good money. Let's say they're making $90,000 a year or $100,000 a year. They're making good money, but they all have the same question: how can I get out of debt? How can I get these student loans off my neck? And unfortunately, most of the time I tell them, you're going to have to take a part-time job in order to pay that loan off, because you can't write it off through bankruptcy and you can't get out of it any other way. So work, don't borrow. And then the last suggestion I have for you today is try to go to 2 years of community college and 2 years of in-state school versus private school or out of state. Now, let me just preface that by saying, if you're an exceptional student, either in athletics or academics, and a private school wants to make it affordable for you to go, they will. If an out-of-state school wants to make it affordable for you to go, they will, if they want you bad enough. They'll match your in-state price if they want you bad enough. But when you walk around these colleges and you see the beautiful buildings, and the beautiful gymnasiums, and the huge stadiums, there's somebody paying for that, and that's going to be you, and you're going to be paying until you're 35 or 40 years old if you borrow the money. If you go to 2 years of community college and 2 years of in-state, you'll probably cut your cost in half. That'll save you about $100,000. That's a lot of money at your age, and it's well worth it. So I hope that these tips have been helpful to you. I hope that when you see them, you'll share them with other people your age. My goal is to help 50,000 people who don't have financial planners through the use of social media videos. And the only way I'm going to accomplish that goal is, number one, if you subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Number two, if you give me a like. And number three, if you'll share it with one person that you know that might benefit. These are all not just opinions. These are facts of somebody who's older and has survived a lot of economic battles. And I don't want you to have to learn the hard way the way I did. So send me an email. I'm not allowed to respond to comments. I'm not allowed to respond to messages on the internet because I'm a licensed professional. But send me an email. Let me know if you found this interesting and if it helped you improve your life. That would mean a lot to me. Thanks, and have a good Labor Day.